The morning sun spread softly across the compound, painting the walls with warm golden light. Birds chirped from the mango tree beside the house, while a cool breeze carried the smell of fresh earth after the night's drizzle. Inside the kitchen, Ifeananya stirred a pot of soup with a smile. She hummed quietly, unaware that someone, somewhere, had already decided to destroy the peace she had built. Behind her, Chidebir walked in silently. He wrapped both arms around her waist. She laughed. "Chief, you almost gave me a heart attack." "I was testing whether my wife still remembers me." She rolled her eyes. "You're going to the office in 1 hour. How can I forget you? I was hoping you'll miss me before I even leave." She turned around and tapped his forehead. "You really have no shame. I lost it the day I married you." She burst into laughter. "You are impossible. And yet you love me." "I never admitted that." "You don't have to." He pointed toward the soup. "The aroma alone says you love me. If soup could talk, you'd never stop talking to it." They both laughed. For a brief moment, everything felt perfect. Neither of them knew that peace sometimes disappears without warning. Across town, Vanessa sat inside a black SUV parked beneath an old almond tree. Dark sunglasses covered her eyes. Her fingers tapped nervously against the steering wheel. She wasn't waiting for Chidebir. She was waiting for someone else. A motorcycle stopped beside the vehicle. The rider removed his helmet. He looked around carefully before opening the passenger door. "You called." Vanessa nodded. "Sit." The man entered without another word. He looked at the thick envelope she had placed between them. "I've been watching. And I know where she lives." Vanessa remained silent. "I know where she buys vegetables." Silence. "I know where she attends church." Still nothing. "And I know she walks to the market every Tuesday without security." Only then did Vanessa smile. "Good." The man leaned closer. "So, what exactly do you want?" Vanessa looked through the windshield. She pictured Ifeananya smiling beside Chidebir. The image burned inside her heart. "I don't want blood." The man raised an eyebrow. "Not yet." She corrected herself quickly. "I just want her life turned upside down." He nodded slowly. "Fear?" "Yes." "Accident?" "Maybe." "Kidnapping?" Vanessa looked at him sharply. "I said no blood. I'm only asking." She sighed. "I want her to disappear from his life." The man smiled faintly. "There are many ways to separate a husband and wife." Vanessa stared ahead. "Find the safest one." Back at the office, Chidebir tried concentrating on paperwork, but his mind refused to cooperate. His phone vibrated. Unknown number. He answered. "Hello." Silence. "Who's speaking?" Nothing. The call ended. He frowned. 5 minutes later, another call. Unknown number. He answered again. "Hello." Heavy breathing. Then, click. The line disconnected. His secretary entered. "Chief." Are you all right?" "I'm fine." "You don't look fine." He forced a smile. "Just one of those days." But deep inside, something didn't feel right. Meanwhile, Ifeananya walked through the village market carrying a woven basket. Everyone greeted her warmly. "My wife, Ada Oma, our beautiful bride." She greeted each person with kindness. An old woman selling tomatoes held her hand. "My daughter." "Yes, Mama? Be careful." Ifeananya smiled. "Careful of what?" "I don't know." The old woman's face suddenly became serious. "My spirit has been restless since morning." Ifeananya laughed softly. "Mama, you're worrying too much." "I pray I am." The old woman made the sign of blessing over her. "May evil never find your doorstep." Amen. Ifeananya continued walking. She had barely gone 20 meters when she felt it. Someone was watching her. She turned. Nothing. Only shoppers moving between stalls. Children running around. Women bargaining loudly. She shook her head. "I'm imagining things." She continued walking. Hidden behind a newspaper stand, a man lowered his cap. It was the same man Vanessa had hired. He quietly watched her disappear into the crowd. That evening, Vanessa stood alone on the balcony of her apartment. Rain clouds gathered in the distance. Her phone buzzed. Unknown contact. Target confirmed. Routine understood. Ready when you are. She stared at the message for several seconds. Her finger hovered over the keyboard. For the first time, she hesitated. A memory flashed through her mind. 7 years earlier, a younger Chidbeer laughing, holding her hand, promising, "I'll always protect you." A tear rolled down her cheek. What happened to us? She closed her eyes. Then another image replaced the first. Chidbeer, smiling, holding Ifyinanya, calling her, "My choice." Vanessa's tears instantly disappeared. Her face hardened. "No," she whispered. "That should have been me." She typed only 2 words. "Proceed carefully." The reply came almost immediately. "Understood." Night fell over the village. Power went out. Only lanterns illuminated the streets. Inside the house, Ifyinanya placed dinner on the table. "You came home late," Chidbeer sighed. "Work." She looked at him carefully. "No." "What do you mean no?" "It wasn't work." He smiled weakly. "You know me too well." She sat beside him. "What happened?" He hesitated. "Nothing serious, Chief." He finally admitted it. "I've been getting strange anonymous calls." She frowned. "Since when?" "This morning." "You think it has something to do with Vanessa?" "I don't know." "If it does," he interrupted gently. "I don't want you worrying." She held his hand. "We're husband and wife." "I know. When you worry, I worry." He smiled. "When you smile, I smile too." She squeezed his hand. "We'll face whatever comes together." He nodded. "Together." Neither of them noticed the shadow outside the compound wall. A pair of eyes watched through the darkness. Watching, waiting, learning. The next morning, the hired man followed Ifyinanya from a distance. She stopped at a roadside fruit stand. He stopped too. She greeted a neighbor. He pretended to check his phone. She entered a tailoring shop. He remained outside. Hours passed. He now knew nearly everything about her routine. He dialed Vanessa. "I've found the perfect place." "What place?" "A lonely road she uses every Thursday." Vanessa remained silent. No cameras. No crowd. Nobody to interfere. She slowly asked, "Can it be done without hurting her?" "Yes." "What exactly will happen?" "I'll make sure she disappears for a while." Vanessa closed her eyes. That was enough. "Do it." Elsewhere, Chidbeer visited his friend. "I still can't shake this feeling." His friend looked concerned. "Trust your instincts." "You think something is coming?" "I don't know. But peace doesn't disappear without leaving signs." Chidbeer looked away. "I'm afraid." "For yourself?" He shook his head. "For my wife." That same afternoon, Ifyinanya finished shopping earlier than usual. As she walked home, a white delivery van slowly turned into the same narrow road behind her. Its engine remained unusually quiet. The driver wore dark glasses. Inside the van, the hired man adjusted his gloves. He looked at the photograph Vanessa had given him. Then he looked through the windshield. There she was, walking alone, completely unaware. He started the engine. The van rolled forward, slowly, silently, closing the distance. And somewhere across town, Vanessa stood by her window, staring into the gray sky. She whispered to herself, "Forgive me, Chidbeer. But if I can't have your heart, then nobody else will enjoy it in peace." The wind howled outside. Far away, a flock of frightened birds suddenly burst into the sky, as if nature itself had sensed that something terrible had just begun. The white delivery van rolled forward at a slow, almost harmless pace. Ifyinanya adjusted the basket on her arm and continued walking down the lonely road. The afternoon sun was beginning to soften, and only a few villagers were scattered in the distance. Inside the van, the hired man tightened his grip on the steering wheel. His phone vibrated. He glanced at the screen. "Vanessa, no mistakes." He deleted the message immediately. "This is just another job," he muttered to himself. Yet something about the smiling woman ahead unsettled him. She looked nothing like the dangerous people he usually dealt with. She looked ordinary.
kind,
happy. For a brief second, he questioned whether he should continue. Then, he remembered the money. Half already paid. The other half waiting. He pressed the accelerator slightly. Back at Childbear's office, Chief tried to focus on the meeting in front of him. And if we approve the new contract. His phone buzzed again. Unknown number. His heart skipped. He excused himself and stepped outside. Hello. This time, a distorted voice answered. Protect what belongs to you, before someone else takes it. The call ended. Childbear stared at the phone. A chill ran through his body. Without thinking, he dialed Ifeanyi. No answer. He called again. Still nothing. His breathing became heavy. Meanwhile, Ifeanyi had stopped near an elderly woman struggling to carry a sack of cassava. Mama, let me help you. My daughter, may God bless you. Together, they carried the sack across the road. The delay lasted less than 2 minutes. But those 2 minutes changed everything. The van reached the spot where Ifeanyi should have been. Instead, the road was empty. The driver frowned. Where did she go? He slowed down and searched both sides of the road. Then he spotted her helping the old woman. He cursed under his breath. Too many witnesses. He kept driving. Not today. Across town, Vanessa waited impatiently.
Her phone rang.
What happened? There were people. You failed. I said there were people. When? Another opportunity will come. Vanessa slammed her hand onto the table. I am tired of opportunities. I want results. The man replied calmly. And I want to stay out of prison. She ended the call angrily. That evening, Ifeanyi returned home. She noticed Childbear pacing in the sitting room. The moment he saw her, he rushed over. Where were you? She blinked. At the market. I've been calling you. She looked into her handbag. My phone was on silent. He hugged her tightly. So tight. I was worried. She pulled back. What happened? He told her about the anonymous call. Her smile faded. This isn't normal.
No.
I think someone is trying to scare us. Childbear nodded. And I think it's working. Later that night, neither of them could sleep. Rain beat softly against the roof. Ifeanyi? If anything ever happens, she immediately covered his mouth with her hand. Don't. I'm serious. So am I. I don't want to hear those words. He gently held her hand. I promise to protect you. And I promise to stand beside you. They remained silent for a long time. Outside, a motorcycle stopped several houses away. The hired man watched the compound through binoculars. He wasn't looking for Childbear. He was studying the gates, the fences, the lights, the routines, every detail. He smiled. This one will require patience. Then he disappeared into the darkness. Elsewhere, Vanessa sat alone in her apartment. She poured herself a glass of wine but couldn't bring herself to drink it. She opened an old photo album. There she was, 7 years younger, standing beside Childbear, both of them laughing. She traced his face with her finger. I should have been your wife. A tear rolled down her cheek. I gave up everything for my dreams. She closed the album. And now, I'll do anything to get my life back. Far away, thunder echoed across the sky. It sounded less like a storm, and more like a warning. Morning arrived quietly, but the peace it carried never reached Childbear's heart. Long before sunrise, he opened his eyes. The rain had stopped during the night. Only the occasional drip from the roof echoed through the compound. Beside him, Ifeanyi was still asleep. Her face looked calm, innocent. She had no idea that danger had already entered their lives. Childbear gently brushed a strand of hair away from her forehead. She smiled in her sleep. That simple smile eased his heart for only a second. Then the anonymous phone call returned to his mind. Protect what belongs to you before someone else takes it. He sat upright. Sleep was impossible now. Quietly, he climbed out of bed so he wouldn't wake her. He walked toward the balcony. The compound was silent. Security guards stood at the front gate. Everything appeared normal. Yet something inside him whispered that normal was only an illusion. Across town, The hired man parked his motorcycle beneath a large mango tree. He unfolded a notebook. On one page was a photograph of Iphigenia. Below it were handwritten notes. Leaves house, 8:15 a.m. Visits market, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Church, Wednesday evening. Usually walks without escort. He smiled. Everybody has a routine. He picked up his phone. Madam. Vanessa answered immediately. What have you found? I know her movements. Good. But this woman, what about her? She isn't careless. Vanessa frowned. What do you mean? She greets everyone. So, if something happens, the whole village will notice immediately. Vanessa's voice hardened. I didn't hire you to admire her. I'm only explaining. I don't care how. I don't care when. I want her out of his life. The line went dead. The man sighed. Obsessed people are always impatient. Inside the kitchen, Iphigenia was preparing breakfast. She noticed Chidebeer watching her from the doorway. You've been staring for almost 5 minutes. I know. Is my face different today?
No.
Then why are you looking at me like that? He walked over. I just wanted to remind myself why I fight so hard. She laughed softly. For ordinary me? There is nothing ordinary about you. She shook her head. You've started again. I'm serious. He held both her hands. If anything feels strange today, she interrupted. You'll tell me?
No.
You'll come straight home. She frowned. Chief, promise me. She searched his eyes. The fear inside them was impossible to miss. I promise. Only then did he smile. Vanessa stood before a large mirror inside her apartment. She barely recognized the woman staring back. Dark circles surrounded her eyes. Sleepless nights had stolen her beauty. She whispered, When did I become like this? Silence answered. She opened her wardrobe. Inside hung expensive dresses from London, Paris, and Milan. Years ago, those dresses had been her greatest pride. Today, none of them mattered. She wanted only one thing, Chidebeer. Nothing else. Around noon, Iphigenia visited the village market. Laughter filled the air. Children chased one another between the stalls. Women bargained loudly over baskets of tomatoes and peppers. Everyone seemed happy. Hidden among them, the hired man watched quietly. He wore a cap and dark glasses. Nobody noticed him. He followed from a safe distance. Every smile, every conversation, every stop she made. He wrote everything down. Then something unexpected happened. A little boy suddenly ran into the road. A speeding motorcycle rushed toward him. Without thinking, Iphigenia dropped her basket. She sprinted forward. She grabbed the child just seconds before the motorcycle passed. The rider shouted angrily. Villagers rushed over. You saved him,